The Assyrian Empire stands as one of the most formidable and influential powers in the history of the ancient world. Known for its military supremacy, unparalleled conquests, and sophisticated administrative systems, Assyria's legacy has left an indelible mark on the civilization of the Near East and beyond. From their ruthless tactics in warfare to their sophisticated infrastructure and cultural innovations, the Assyrians were not just conquerors, but masters of empire building. Though the Assyrian Empire ultimately crumbled under the weight of internal strife and external pressures, its achievements remain monumental. This essay will explore the rise and fall of the Assyrian Empire, examining its foundations, military innovations, cultural contributions, and the lasting legacy that continues to resonate in the present day. It will also delve into the reasons behind its eventual downfall, illustrating how the Assyrians' unchecked ambition led to their decline, but also left behind a lasting influence on successive empires. Through this exploration, we gain a deeper understanding of not just Assyria's historical significance, but also the enduring nature of its impact on the world. The Assyrian civilization originated in the northern part of Mesopotamia, strategically located between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The region was an important crossroads for ancient cultures, lying at the intersection of the fertile plains of Mesopotamia and the rugged mountains of Anatolia and the Zagros. The city of Ashur, located along the Tigris River, became the spiritual and political heart of Assyria. Named after the chief god of the Assyrian pantheon, Ashur was not only a religious hub, but also a fortified city that played a crucial role in the kingdom's expansion. It was from Ashur that the Assyrians first began to establish their influence over the surrounding regions, using both military strength and strategic alliances to secure their position. In the early stages, Assyria was merely a small city-state, but its location along the river systems provided it with agricultural prosperity and trade opportunities that would later facilitate its rise to power. The city's early settlers built it on elevated ground, offering protection from flooding and invasions, and it soon became a beacon of Assyrian civilization. The Assyrian Empire's location at the crossroads of the ancient world allowed it to control key trade routes that connected the Mediterranean, Anatolia, Persia, and the Arabian Peninsula. The empire stretched from the Mediterranean Sea in the west to the Persian Gulf in the east, offering a unique vantage point to dominate regional trade, political dynamics, and military movements. Through its control of the major overland trade routes, Assyria was able to acquire valuable goods such as timber, metals, and textiles, and to exert influence over neighboring kingdoms. With a military reach extending across the Near East, Assyria's control of these trade routes allowed for the flow of goods, cultures, and ideas throughout the empire. The strategic position of Assyria enabled the empire to serve as a military and diplomatic power, using both direct conquest and alliances to extend its influence. The Assyrians capitalized on their geographical advantage to launch successful military campaigns and to maintain their dominant position in the ancient world. Assyria's geographic location provided it with a wealth of natural resources crucial for the empire's military and economic strength. The fertile plains along the Tigris River enabled the Assyrians to cultivate crops such as barley, wheat, and flax, ensuring a steady food supply for both the population and the military. Agriculture was the foundation of the economy, but the Assyrians also benefited from their access to a variety of raw materials. Assyria had access to valuable resources such as timber from the northern forests and metals including iron, copper, and silver, which were essential for the production of weapons and tools. Iron, in particular, became a critical component of Assyrian military might, with iron weapons giving Assyrian soldiers a technological advantage over their enemies. The proximity to the Zagros Mountains also provided access to quarries for building materials and minerals, further bolstering Assyria's wealth and power. The Assyrians began as a small city-state centered around the city of Ashur, which was named after their god, and served as the political and religious nucleus of the kingdom. Assyria's early growth was gradual, as it expanded from its core city to control the surrounding regions of northern Mesopotamia. The early Assyrian kings, such as Shamshi-Adad I, played a key role in expanding Assyrian influence. Shamshi-Adad I, who ruled in the 18th century BCE, was a significant figure in early Assyrian history. He expanded the kingdom through military conquest, establishing control over important trade routes and territories in northern Mesopotamia, including parts of modern-day Syria and Anatolia. Shamshi-Adad's kingdom laid the groundwork for Assyria's later expansion as he established a strong foundation for his successors to build upon. Although his empire did not last long, it marked the beginning of Assyria's transition from a small city-state to a powerful regional force. The true consolidation of Assyrian power came during the reign of Tiglath-Pileser III, who ascended the throne in 745 BCE. Tiglath-Pileser III's reign marked the beginning of Assyria's transformation from a regional power into a dominant empire. A military genius and skilled diplomat, Tiglath-Pileser III employed both military conquest and strategic alliances to consolidate Assyrian power. Tiglath-Pileser's military reforms were crucial to Assyria's rise. He reorganized the army into a standing force, using both infantry and cavalry to conduct rapid campaigns across vast distances. His forces were trained in siege warfare and were equipped with advanced military technology, such as battering rams and iron weapons, which gave Assyria a decisive edge in battle. The king also utilized psychological warfare, terrorizing defeated enemies to ensure submission and discourage rebellion. On the diplomatic front, Tiglath-Pileser III employed a strategy of alliances and tribute. Through a combination of diplomacy and force, he expanded Assyria's influence across the ancient Near East, forging relationships with neighboring states such as Israel and Babylon. He also forced defeated kingdoms to pay tribute, ensuring a constant flow of wealth and resources into Assyria's coffers. One of the key factors behind Assyria's rise was its military innovation, which revolutionized ancient warfare. The Assyrians are credited with creating one of the first standing armies in history, maintaining a well-trained and highly disciplined force that could be mobilized for campaigns year-round. This military readiness gave Assyria a distinct advantage, allowing the empire to maintain control over its vast territories and to carry out extensive campaigns far from its homeland. The Assyrians perfected the art of siege warfare, employing advanced tactics such as battering rams, siege towers, and tunnels to breach the walls of enemy fortifications. They also utilized psychological warfare, creating an atmosphere of fear and intimidation among their enemies. The Assyrians would often engage in brutal tactics, including mass executions and deportations, to crush resistance and deter future uprisings. In addition to their military innovations, the Assyrians introduced advanced logistics systems to support their campaigns. They built extensive road networks and fortified supply depots to ensure that their armies could move quickly and efficiently across their vast empire. These logistical advancements, combined with their innovative military tactics, made the Assyrian army one of the most formidable forces in the ancient world. The history of the Assyrian Empire is shaped by its kings, who were both warriors and state builders. These rulers expanded the empire's territory and left a profound legacy on the world. Tiglath-Pileser III is often credited with the creation of the neo-Assyrian Empire. His reign marked a significant shift in Assyrian history, as he reorganized the army, expanded Assyrian territories, and implemented a policy of systematic conquest. Tiglath-Pileser III was a master tactician, known for his strategic use of military force and diplomacy. Under his rule, Assyria expanded its influence across the Near East, bringing numerous nations into its fold. Sargon II followed Tiglath-Pileser III and is remembered for his military conquests, including the fall of Israel in 722 BCE. Sargon II's most infamous action was the deportation of the Israelites, an event that reshaped the demographic landscape of the region. His military campaigns extended Assyrian control even further, and he founded the city of Dur-Sharrukin as a new capital, showcasing his ambition and vision for the empire. Sennacherib was another of Assyria's most notable kings, particularly recognized for his destruction of Babylon in 689 BCE. Sennacherib sought to establish Assyrian dominance over all of Mesopotamia, and his campaigns were marked by ruthless force. One of the most famous episodes of his reign was his invasion of Judah in 701 BCE, where his forces besieged Jerusalem, though they ultimately failed to capture the city. Despite the setback in Judah, Sennacherib's reign greatly expanded Assyrian territories and solidified Assyria's reputation as a military powerhouse. Ashurbanipal, the last great Assyrian king, ruled at a time when Assyria had reached its zenith in both military strength and cultural achievements. Under his reign, Assyria enjoyed significant military victories, including the conquest of Egypt, but Ashurbanipal was also a patron of the arts and learning. He established the famous Library of Ashurbanipal at Nineveh, preserving thousands of cuneiform tablets that provide invaluable insights into ancient Assyrian culture, religion, and administration. His reign represented the pinnacle of Assyrian power, though it also marked the beginning of the empire's decline. In Assyria, kingship was considered a divine institution, with the king seen as the earthly representative of the god Ashur, the chief deity of the Assyrian pantheon. Kings were believed to be divinely chosen to protect and expand the empire, serving as both military leaders and administrators. Their responsibilities included ensuring the stability and prosperity of the empire through military conquest, the building of monumental structures, and the establishment of laws. The role of the Assyrian king was not merely political, but also religious. Kings were expected to maintain the favor of the gods, and their military campaigns were often framed as divine mandates. Many Assyrian kings, including Tiglath-Pileser III and Sargon II, portrayed their conquests as acts of divine will, and they frequently built grand temples and monuments to honor Ashur and other gods. Kings also sponsored the creation of monumental works of art and architecture, including palaces and ziggurats, to display their power and divine favor. Assyrian kings were not just warriors but also builders, overseeing massive construction projects that symbolized the strength of the empire. These projects included the construction of elaborate palaces, city walls, and fortifications, as well as the establishment of administrative centers and military bases throughout the empire. Kings like Sennacherib and Ashurbanipal transformed cities like Nineveh into symbols of Assyrian grandeur, with grand palaces, gardens, and temples that showcased both their military victories and their devotion to the gods. At the core of Assyrian power was its formidable military. The Assyrian army was one of the most advanced and disciplined military forces in the ancient world, renowned for its efficiency, organization, and devastating tactics. The army was structured into specialized units, with different troops assigned to specific tasks based on their training and expertise. Infantry formed the backbone of the army, armed with spears, swords, and shields. The Assyrian infantry was well-equipped and well-trained, capable of executing complex battle formations. They were supported by specialized troops, including archers, who provided ranged support, and cavalry, which could execute rapid strikes against enemy positions. The siege engineers were another crucial component of the army, responsible for designing and operating advanced siege machines such as battering rams, siege towers, and ramps. The Assyrian army was renowned for its discipline, with soldiers trained to follow orders without question. The success of the Assyrian military relied on the strict organization of its forces, ensuring that troops operated with maximum efficiency and coordination during campaigns. Commanders and generals were highly skilled, with many of them serving as both military tacticians and administrators. The Assyrians were relentless in their pursuit of expansion, and their military campaigns were among the most brutal in the ancient world. They used psychological warfare to instill fear in their enemies, with tactics such as mass executions, torture, and deportation used to crush resistance. The Assyrians often made an example of their defeated foes, displaying the bodies of their enemies on stakes or in public spaces to intimidate others. Assyria's brutal military campaigns allowed the empire to conquer vast regions, stretching from Egypt and Anatolia in the west to Persia in the east. The Assyrians imposed heavy tribute on conquered peoples, ensuring a constant flow of wealth into the empire. Subject nations were often forced to adopt Assyrian customs, language, and laws, further cementing Assyrian control over the empire. The Assyrians also employed a policy of deportation, forcibly relocating entire populations from conquered territories. This practice served both to weaken the power of rebellious regions and to integrate new peoples into the empire. It is estimated that over 1 million people were displaced during the Assyrian conquests, leading to a diverse and multi-ethnic empire. One of the most notable aspects of Assyrian military prowess was its expertise in siege warfare. The Assyrians perfected the art of laying siege to fortified cities, using a combination of brute force, engineering ingenuity, and psychological tactics. Assyrian armies were equipped with advanced siege equipment, including battering rams to break down city gates, siege towers that allowed troops to scale walls, and ramps used to overcome defensive structures. Siege warfare was often the key to Assyrian military success. The Assyrians would surround a city, cutting off its supply lines and using their siege engines to breach the defenses. Once inside, they would take control of the city and often massacre or deport the inhabitants. The use of siege warfare allowed the Assyrians to conquer some of the most well-fortified cities in the ancient world, including the great city of Babylon. Assyrian art is a testament to the empire's grandeur, military strength, and religious devotion. The Assyrians excelled in creating monumental art that celebrated royal power, military achievements, and divine favor. Palaces were grand structures, often adorned with intricate stone reliefs and massive statues that depicted the king's triumphs in battle and his relationship with the gods. One of the most notable aspects of Assyrian art is the wall carvings found in the palaces of rulers such as Sennacherib and Ashurbanipal. These carvings depicted scenes of military conquest, royal rituals, and divine interactions, often emphasizing the king's role as both a warrior and a representative of the gods on earth. These works of art were not only decorative but served as a way to communicate the king's divine legitimacy and the might of the Assyrian army. The art was often created in high relief, showing dynamic and vivid scenes of battle, capturing the moment of victory or the act of subjugation in extraordinary detail. The statues that lined the palaces were equally imposing, often depicting the king as a powerful and divine figure, ready to defend the empire. These statues, along with the wall carvings, served to reinforce the notion of the king as a protector, chosen by the gods to lead the empire to glory. The religious life of the Assyrians was deeply intertwined with their politics, as their pantheon of gods directly influenced the empire's military conquests and cultural identity. At the center of Assyrian worship was Ashur, the chief god, who was viewed as the protector and ruler of the empire. Ashur was depicted as a warrior god, and his symbol often appeared in the royal inscriptions, reflecting the king's role as his earthly representative. In Assyrian religious thought, the king was considered divinely chosen and a direct intermediary between Ashur and the people. Other gods in the Assyrian pantheon included Ishtar, the goddess of love and war, Shamash, the god of the sun and justice, and Adad, the storm god. These gods were worshipped in temples and sanctuaries, with each city having its own patron deity. Priests played a significant role in Assyrian society, overseeing religious rituals and ensuring that the gods' favor was secured through sacrifices, offerings, and prayers. Royal authority was often justified through religious beliefs, with kings claiming to be the chosen of Ashur to bring prosperity and victory. Religious rituals were integrated into the king's military campaigns, with battles often being presented as battles between the gods and their enemies. Victory in battle was seen as a sign of divine approval, while defeat was considered a punishment for failing to uphold divine will. Assyrian society was highly structured, with a strict hierarchical system that reinforced social order. At the top of this hierarchy was the king, who was considered the supreme authority over both the military and the state. Below the king were priests, who conducted religious ceremonies and ensured that the gods remained pleased with the empire. Military officials held significant power due to the importance of warfare in Assyrian life, and their loyalty to the king was crucial for maintaining the empire's dominance. The middle class of Assyria consisted of traders, who facilitated commerce both within the empire and with neighboring civilizations, and artisans, who created the intricate goods and materials that were highly valued throughout the ancient world. The farmers and laborers were the backbone of the empire, working the land to produce the food and resources necessary for Assyria's survival. At the bottom of the social ladder were slaves, who performed a variety of tasks ranging from domestic labor to working on grand construction projects. Slaves were often prisoners of war or conquered peoples who had been deported to Assyria. They were viewed as property and had little to no rights, though they played a crucial role in maintaining the empire's economy and infrastructure. The Assyrians were known for their engineering marvels, which played a key role in the expansion and maintenance of their empire. Their ability to build a vast network of roads, bridges, and canals facilitated not only military movements, but also trade and communication across the empire. The roads were constructed with great attention to detail, often paved with stone and designed to withstand the harsh climates of the region. These roads allowed Assyrian armies to quickly move from one city to another, maintaining control over the empire's vast territories. The Assyrians also constructed impressive fortifications around their cities, which were equipped with massive gates and walls that could withstand prolonged sieges. These fortifications were often accompanied by military towers and observation posts, allowing defenders to spot enemy forces from a distance and respond quickly. The Assyrian emphasis on infrastructure helped to maintain their dominance and enabled them to control large areas of land with minimal resources. One of the most significant contributions of the Assyrians to ancient engineering was their water management systems. They built aqueducts to bring fresh water into their cities, allowing for the growth of large urban centers. These aqueducts were often constructed with great precision, using advanced engineering techniques to ensure a steady flow of water from distant sources. The water systems also included extensive irrigation networks, which were essential for sustaining agriculture in the arid environment of Mesopotamia. The Assyrians' innovations in irrigation helped to transform their cities into thriving hubs of agriculture, enabling them to produce surplus food for their population. The development of water systems also supported the growth of industries such as textile production and metalworking, as water was needed for both cleaning and cooling processes in these industries. Perhaps the most enduring cultural achievement of the Assyrians was the establishment of libraries, with the Library of Ashurbanipal in Nineveh being the most famous. This library was one of the largest and most significant in the ancient world, containing thousands of clay tablets inscribed with cuneiform writing. These tablets documented a wide range of subjects, from history and religion to science and literature. The library provided a wealth of knowledge about the Assyrian Empire and its neighbors, offering valuable insights into the political, social, and religious practices of the time. It also preserved ancient texts from earlier civilizations, including the famous Epic of Gilgamesh, ensuring that the wisdom of past generations was not lost to history. The Assyrian Empire reached its zenith during the 8th and 7th centuries BCE, at a time when its influence stretched across a vast expanse of land, from Egypt in the west to Persia in the east. This immense territorial control allowed the Assyrians to dominate the ancient world, not only militarily, but also in terms of political, cultural, and economic influence. At its peak, the empire was one of the most powerful and formidable states in history. Under rulers such as Tiglath-Pileser III, Sargon II, and Sennacherib, Assyria became the undisputed force of the ancient Near East. Its military might and technological innovations in warfare allowed it to crush rebellions, expand its borders, and maintain control over a large and diverse empire. Assyria's influence extended beyond its borders through its military campaigns, its spread of culture, and its establishment of client states and vassals. The empire was known for its ruthlessness in dealing with enemies, yet it also excelled in managing its vast territories through effective governance. Assyria's military strength, coupled with its administrative prowess, helped maintain the stability of the empire for several centuries. Its conquests left a lasting imprint on the political and cultural landscape of the ancient Near East. The economic success of the Assyrian Empire was largely driven by its conquests and the tribute collected from subjugated peoples. The wealth generated through these means enabled the Assyrians to fund their military campaigns, construct monumental architectural projects, and maintain a strong central administration. Trade played a significant role in the empire's prosperity, with Assyria controlling important trade routes between the Mediterranean and the Persian Gulf. In addition to tribute from conquered peoples, Assyria also benefited from the natural resources within its territory, including timber, metals, and agricultural products. The empire's well-organized infrastructure allowed goods to be transported efficiently across the vast expanse of its domain, further boosting its economy. The tribute system was one of the most effective methods employed by the Assyrians to maintain economic control, ensuring a steady flow of resources to the imperial center. With the influx of wealth, the Assyrian kings were able to finance large-scale construction projects, such as the palaces and temples that were central to Assyrian culture and propaganda. The empire's economic stability allowed it to maintain a standing army, a vital component of its military dominance, and also fostered a cultural renaissance marked by advancements in art, architecture, and scholarship. While the Assyrians were known for their brutal military tactics, they were also skilled diplomats who understood the value of alliances and treaties in maintaining their empire. Assyria often engaged in diplomacy with neighboring kingdoms, using marriage alliances, tribute, and formal agreements to secure peace or gain strategic advantages. Assyrian kings frequently arranged marriages between their daughters and rulers of other kingdoms, thus strengthening political ties and ensuring loyalty. Though the Assyrians were feared for their violent conquests, their diplomatic strategies allowed them to maintain control over vast and diverse territories. Treaties were often used to regulate relations with other powers, and the Assyrian court engaged in diplomacy with a wide range of foreign entities, from Babylonia and Elam to Egypt and Israel. The Assyrian approach to diplomacy helped create a network of client states and vassals that contributed to the empire's longevity. Despite the Assyrians' military dominance and economic success, the empire ultimately fell due to a combination of internal strife and overextension. The empire's vast territories became increasingly difficult to manage, and the administrative system that had once been efficient began to falter under the pressure of constant warfare and the demands of ruling over diverse peoples. As the empire expanded, it became harder to maintain control over newly conquered regions, and local uprisings began to weaken Assyria's hold. The tribute system that had once fueled Assyrian prosperity became less effective, as regions within the empire sought to break free from Assyrian control. In addition, the military campaigns that had once secured Assyrian dominance began to drain the empire's resources and manpower. The internal instability within the empire was compounded by factionalism among the Assyrian elite. Assyrian kings were often overthrown or faced revolts from within their own court, which further weakened the state's cohesion and military readiness. The empire, once a cohesive and formidable force, found itself struggling to maintain its imperial authority. The Assyrian Empire came to a dramatic end in 612 BCE when the capital city of Nineveh fell to a coalition of Babylonians, Medes, and Scythians. The city, once the jewel of the empire and the center of Assyrian culture and power, was destroyed in a siege that lasted several months. The downfall of Nineveh marked the official collapse of the Assyrian Empire, as its armies and rulers were unable to defend the city against the combined forces of their enemies. The destruction of Nineveh was the culmination of years of internal conflict, military overextension, and growing resistance from within and outside the empire. After the fall of Nineveh, the Assyrians were left displaced or assimilated by the Babylonians and other conquerors. Many of the Assyrian elite were either killed or forced into exile, and the empire, once a dominant power, was no more. Despite the fall of the Assyrian Empire, its legacy continues to resonate in the history of the ancient world. The Assyrians left an enduring mark on military innovations, art, and cultural achievements, which influenced later civilizations such as the Babylonians and Persians. The Assyrians' innovations in siege warfare, military strategy, and psychological tactics were adopted by later empires, and their administrative practices influenced the governance systems of subsequent rulers. Assyrian art and architecture, with its emphasis on grandeur and divine kingship, continued to inspire the cultures that followed. The Assyrian legacy of writing and scholarship, most notably preserved in the library of Ashurbanipal, contributed to the understanding of ancient Near Eastern history and culture. Modern archaeology has uncovered a wealth of Assyrian artifacts, inscriptions, and structures that provide invaluable insights into the civilization's once mighty empire. Excavations in Nineveh, the capital of Assyria, have yielded remarkable discoveries, including royal palaces, wall reliefs, and the famous library of Ashurbanipal. The detailed carvings on the walls of Assyrian palaces depict the empire's military campaigns, royal rituals, and conquests, offering a vivid portrayal of Assyrian society. The ruins of Sennacherib's palace in Nineveh are among the most significant archaeological sites, where monumental wall reliefs show the king's military triumphs, including his successful campaigns against Judah and his siege of Jerusalem. The palace itself was once a symbol of Assyrian wealth and power, and its remains continue to be a critical source for understanding the empire's architectural grandeur. The influence of Assyria can be observed in the political, military, and artistic developments of later civilizations. The Assyrians' military innovations, including the use of siege warfare, the formation of standing armies, and the implementation of psychological tactics in battle, were adopted by many subsequent empires, particularly the Babylonians, Persians, and Romans. Assyria's ability to project power over vast territories, manage a large empire, and impose its will on other nations became a model for future imperial powers. In terms of administration, the Assyrians developed an efficient bureaucratic system that allowed them to govern their vast empire. This system, which included the use of provincial governors and a well-organized network of roads and communication channels, was later emulated by other great empires, such as the Persian Empire and Alexander the Great's empire. Their legal systems, taxation practices, and methods of integrating conquered peoples also influenced later rulers. The modern-day Assyrian people are descendants of the ancient Assyrians, and despite the fall of their empire, they have managed to preserve their cultural identity. The Assyrian diaspora, which began as early as the fall of Nineveh, has spread across the globe, with significant populations in countries such as Iraq, Syria, Turkey, Iran, and the United States. Despite facing challenges, including persecution and displacement, the Assyrian community continues to thrive and maintain a strong sense of identity. Though the Assyrian Empire no longer exists, its influence continues to reverberate through history. Military strategy, imperial governance, and artistic achievement remain core aspects of the Assyrian legacy, providing lessons for modern-day societies. The Assyrians' methods of empire building and control, as well as their contributions to the cultural and intellectual development of the ancient world, shaped the trajectory of future empires. The enduring influence of Assyria can also be seen in the modern-day Assyrian people, who continue to preserve their rich cultural heritage and contribute to global society. The story of the Assyrian Empire serves as a reminder of the power of human achievement and the enduring legacy of ancient civilizations.